50-50 benchmarks are in, but not from reviewers. AI might have to pay per crawl, and it's time. 900 series and 10 series, they're dying. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're gonna be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast. This Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. And we're gonna start off today with the launch of the new GPU that came out yesterday, not mid to late July like Nvidia indicated in some places, but it turns out no, July 1st was the actual release date for the 50-50 graphics card, and there are no third-party reviews that are currently out on the market, at least as of the time of recording, because it's been very hard for people to be able to buy them and then get them reviewed and then have, you know, publications out about it. But there are some numbers coming out from AIB partners, but again, no official reviews coming out for the 50-50. It doesn't look like there is a review program, which makes this the third 8GB desktop graphics card from Nvidia to not get a review program. Maybe Nvidia just knew that they would get lambasted and decided the people who are going to buy this card are going to buy it anyways, and the people who are going to review it are going to review it anyways, and so they're just not going to participate in that. It's not a great move in the eyes of the public or reviewers themselves, and likely what will happen is, at best, the 50-50 reviews will happen through the likes of third parties such as Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, them sending their cards out, as opposed to Nvidia having their own program. But with Inno3D, they at least publish their own benchmarks for us to understand how exactly does it stack up to previous generations of cards, and it looks like it's a 50-50 split as to whether or not it beats an RTX 4060. So in things like synthetic benchmarks, it looks like the 50-50 does beat out the 4060 and does definitely beat out the 3060. But then when it comes to actual gaming benchmarks, the 4060 is roughly faster than it. It's not necessarily to the point where it's a major change, but they're going to be roughly within the ballpark of one another. This is despite the fact that the 4060 does have more CUDA cores than the 50-50, and there's no process node change, so it does look like the clock speed improvements have definitely helped out the 50-50 here to make it slightly faster. Now, this is not enough information to go out and tell you how it's going to perform in various different games, and a lot of people would easily say that you should more than likely, if you're looking to buy Nvidia anyways, the 5060 Ti looks to be a better buy. However, the 9060 XT also looks to be a significantly better buy, and the Intel Arc B580 looks to be an even better buy. So there are things around the 5060 that should rather have your money spent on it, but if you need to spend as little money as possible getting a brand new Nvidia card, the 5050 is it. However, it turns out that, at least according to Mind Factory, a large retailer over in Germany when it comes to PC parts, they are finding that gamers are upgrading to 16 gigs no matter what. It doesn't matter whether or not people are knowing the name difference between them. It looks like the 16GB 5060 Ti is outselling the 8GB version 16-1. In the time frame of the sales, the 16GB version of the 5060 Ti sold 1,675 units compared to the 8GB 105 units. Now, obviously, this is not indicative of the market as a whole. This is not everywhere, every place for every consumer, but it does kind of give us, especially with dedicated PC enthusiasts, they are picking up the 16 gig version when they can, even with the 8GB being available. You can easily go purchase those at retail from a plenty of different places. But with today's video sponsor, you're probably going to want to stick a little bit more than a 50-50 in it, because Silverstone is no stranger to excellent PC case design, nor are they a stranger to sponsoring today's video. The Crown 04 is the most capable and highest performing HTPC case Silverstone offers, which is saying a lot considering Silverstone is the undisputed leader in HTPC case design with over 20 years of experience, and I should know because that's how I started this channel, was in one of their kind of gamery HTPCs, the Silverstone Raven RVZ01. It's the very first video here on UFD Tech because they were the standard. And the Crown 04 is capable of swallowing any graphics card you can buy and features support for dual 360mm radiators. Its thick, beautifully finished aluminum front and top makes this case easily fit in with other high-end components you've picked out for your awesome home theater cabinet. And Silverstone's experience shows through with attention to small details such as the adjustable LED brightness toggle next to the power button and the damped front I/O cover. If you're looking for a sleek and functional HTPC case, check out the Silverstone Crown 04 via the link in the description below. And as always, a huge thank you to Silverstone for sponsoring. And of course, you are more than welcome to stick a 50-50 50 in the Crown 04 if you want. It's gonna be like a baby standing next to Shaquille O'Neal. You have better options here. And Nothing is offering new options in their product lineups. They showcased a few new devices that they're gonna be coming out with pre-orders going live on Friday, July 4th, and the actual shipment starting July 15th. Number one is the Nothing Phone 3, which is gonna have a new glyph matrix set up on the back with all of their lights doing funny things that are gonna allow you to have mini apps to like play visual games on the back with this, like, it kind of looks like a camera, but it's just a matrix display like we've seen on things like Asus's laptops or otherwise. It's just big pixel screens, black and white, so that you can play around with it in case you want to. But in terms of specs, it's gonna have a Snapdragon 8S Gen 4 with either 12 or 16 gigs of RAM and 256 or 512 gigs of storage with the 6.67-inch AMOLED screen at 120 Hz with 4,500 nits of peak brightness and a 5150 milliamp hour battery using silicon carbide, which is all good and interesting. The Nothing phones, we've tested them out here at UFD Tech. We never really got around to reviewing them, but Kyler spent a lot of time with them in anticipation of a review that never came out, and we've enjoyed them. But the main thing I really wanted to talk about was their Headphone 1 launch, which these things at the price point seem like they might be able to hold up to the competition, at least currently based on the reviews that are out there, with up to an 80-hour battery life, which is incredible. But these ANC over-ear headphones are some of the strangest design things that I've seen in headphones in many years, with them having a very bold design aesthetic, kind of fusing like Nintendo console with like record player, but definitely still feeling as like it's part of the Nothing design language. I'm interested in trying these out. I might pick these up so that Kyler could potentially do a review or at least a short on that for him to be able to see it, but I'm intrigued by these. Let me know what you think of the Nothing headphone ones down below in the comments while Reece gives you the deals.
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet, and I'll jump straight into them for you today. Starting off, we have this Royal Clutch RK84 wired 75% hot swappable mechanical keyboard that you can pick up for only $29.99, making it $30 or 50% off, whichever you like the sound of more. Now, circling back to the crucial pro deal we had the other day, the 64 gig white kit featuring RAM running at 6400 megahertz at CL40 is going for $149.99, making it $82 off. And then lastly, we have this gorgeous MSI Mag 32-inch 4K 165 Hz curved QD OLED gaming monitor for $749.99, making it $150 off. And hey, with that, the deals are done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, I'm gonna hand you off back to Brett for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Well, Reece, it looks like content creators and the internet infrastructure at large is kind of feeling like AI got too good of a deal when it comes to how much they're able to scrape data from every single dank corner of the interweb, which is why Cloudflare just announced a new program where they're going to restrict crawling to AI bots if they don't pay up. This is a limited beta test where they're just having a select group of content creators, media publications, and various different outlets across the internet sign up for their program and restrict AI unless they're willing to pay the fee that the content creator or the owner of the content stipulates, and then if they do pay up, then they are free to crawl. Cloudflare saying that original content is what makes the internet one of the greatest inventions in the last century, and it's essential that creators continue making it. AI crawlers have been scraping content without limits. Our goal is to put the power back in the hands of creators while still helping AI companies innovate. This is about safeguarding the future of a free and vibrant internet with a new model that works for everyone. And it appears like this is in the vein of trying to solve the kind of Ouroboros problem we have when it comes to AI generated content, because AI is just using large language models to synthesize known data. They can't create new data out of something that doesn't exist. And they're using the treasure trove of content that's already been out and put out on the internet thanks to financial incentives from things like ads from search engines or baked into the website. And if you start removing clicks from websites and the ability for people to actually go to the landing spot, well, then those places stop having a financial incentive to actually produce the content, which means you have fewer pieces of content to feed into the AI machine, and it just causes a degradation issue. This allegedly will help to kind of stymie that problem, but it will require that both the content creators are involved in it as well as AI companies consenting to it and not trying to find a bajillion ways around it. But one of the appeals with this is Cloudflare is a major part part of the internet infrastructure right now. Just look at any time Cloudflare goes down, you basically can't access any website that most people regularly frequent. And this could make it so that it's a centralized location where AI crawlers could potentially partner up with the content that they want to gobble up. We'll see how it plays out. It, again, is in a beta test run right now, but we'll see, again, how it moves forward. And it looks like it's about time for you to move forward, you GTX 970 enjoyer, you GTX 1080 Ti lover, you fiend who is adoring the Titan V. It's time to move on because officially announced by NVIDIA, driver support is ending for these graphics cards. This is actually an incredibly long duration that they've kept support for things like the GTX 900 series. It's been 11 years since these cards have launched, and it's been 9 years since the GTX 10 series has launched. Considering that the median age of driver support previous to this was 6 to 7 years, this has been a long lifespan series of GPUs that are out there. Now, specifically, what NVIDIA has said is that they are going to have their last driver update be the 580 series of their NVIDIA drivers, which is kind of strange. Like, you're making it your competition's most popular graphics card in recent years. That's what you're gonna do. And we're currently on 576.88, so it doesn't look like it's super close, but we do know that the end is incoming. NVIDIA publishing this when it comes to the Unix graphics driver update, which, because NVIDIA runs a unified driver between Unix, Linux, and Windows, then we know that this is likely going to be the same unless they're planning on branching them apart, and that would also be a huge news story. But because they are currently unified, they have announced that with Unix it's going to be ending at that date, and likely therefore on Windows that will stop. So again, 580 series of the drivers is what we're looking at. We're at 576 right now. The GTX 16 series is unaffected because that's a completely different architecture. So GTX cards aren't officially dead, they are just on life support. The 1650, 1650 Ti, 1650 Super, 1660, 1660 Ti, 1660 Super, those are all still fine, allegedly. And as mentioned before, when we talk about this, driver support isn't necessary to always play the games that you're trying to play, especially if you are playing legacy games, games that came out 5 to 10 years ago. You're very likely to not see the ripple effects of this until more years down the line, but there are still plenty of instances where having driver updates to your card makes it so that common bugs are alleviated, or there is actual good support upon launch, and there's not black screen issues or other problems that are happening with the graphics cards. We've experienced that as we've done reviews, kind of re-reviews of things like the GTX 1060 and the RX 580. We're finding that even with them still technically getting driver support, they are lagging a little bit behind and have problems in very popular games, and so that may end up coming, especially if you're still holding on to the GOAT 1080 Ti. Now let's see what you guys bleated about in the comments yesterday. We got Francis saying, at 5:57, someone watching you from behind, and Jay Monstead saying cat creeping in the background of Yummy Yum Deal Master segment. All right, yeah, that was creepy. I don't know why she's doing that. Then we got Slane saying, speaking of the MacBook Air, I ordered a MacBook Air 15 on Sunday and just got it today. I haven't done much on it besides get it set up, but so far it's very nice, especially since it's upgrading a very old and aged Samsung Chromebook from 2014. I got it in Starlight with 512 gigs of space. It's mainly going to be my multimedia platform. If I need any more space than that, I'll pick up an external SSD. It's crazy how thin this thing is. Yeah, the MacBook Airs, especially if you got the M4 one, those come with a standard 16 gigs of RAM if you're getting 512 gigs of storage. Like, for totability and battery life and just being able to throw that thing around in your backpack as you're going about, MacBook Airs do provide a tremendous amount of value in that department. Are they the greatest when it comes to gaming? Absolutely not. But even the M4 base level chip without an active cooler in the MacBook Air can still give you some pretty decent performance even when unplugged from the wall. I'm a big fan of the MacBook situation right now. And then Ping saying, M1 level performance would be great. It's still super capable for most people. I can't help but think there's no way it'll be much cheaper than $800, so they can use the infamous price ladder. It will have a handful of additional compromises, and most people will say, might as well get the Air. Yeah, I mean, that likely, we're seeing the same thing with the RTX 5050, and the similar situation with the 8 and 16 gig versions of the 9060 XT and the 5060 Ti. It looks like the offerings are there for people who don't want to spend the money, but they're not the best bang for buck. However, $800, I do think I see it going cheaper than that. $699 would be my guess, simply because $899's been like a common sale point for the previous MacBook Airs. Like the last generation is how they would do it. So it would be $899 for the last gen and then $999 for the new one. So maybe I'm wrong. $800, yeah, that would be a little bit too much. But again, I could also see Apple doing that and then charging, you know, $200 to get an extra setup of RAM or SSDs. That's where they really get you, is on the upgrades. But the base level stuff performs phenomenally. The base level Mac Mini, it's hard to find a better mini PC for the price point that they offer, especially if you have something like an student discount. Oh boy. Then Reggie is saying, I do not want my internet service analyzing literally everything I do. No thank you. I mean, they kind of already have some indication of the things that you're doing. It's just so much data, and they have no reason to look at any one particular person unless they get told to do it, right? And if they are starting to be more on the hook for things like piracy, it would likely be that due to monetary incentives, they would have to start analyzing more people's traffics more regularly. And then Jim Body saying, I don't know if you're aware, but you have skin all over your body. OMG, where did that come from? I don't know, man. Your skin cells divide. You were born with skin, hopefully. Like, your new skin comes from, like, nutrients and mitosis and stuff. And then Rhino Mini saying, I hate being the, well, actually guy, but technically 2 July is the middle of the year, so the first is still in the first half. You only enter the back half of the year at noon on the second, midnight in a leap year. If you hate being the, well, actually guy, you wouldn't have done that. I don't believe you. I think that first part of the statements is just a flat out, maybe not lie, but I think you might be deceiving yourself there, buddy. Because if you actually hated it, you wouldn't have typed this comment. It wouldn't have happened. You can avoid these things by just not doing them. That's a thing. But also I don't, you will actually lead me on something that, cool. We all knew what I meant. All right, we're in the back half of the months. Okay, maybe not in the days, but in the months. So, it's just you won on a technicality, buddy. Congratulations. I'm going to congratulate the rest of you on finishing this episode of Hot News. I'll be back here, hopefully, tomorrow with more of the hottest tech news for you.